So hello and welcome to the fifth in a series of webinars today, which is all about employability, training and apprenticeships. Really topical day based on the government's new apprenticeship schemes. My name is Andrew Hadfield and I'll be chairing the session today on behalf of Can Digital. But until recently, I've been working for a number of county councils and am also the vice chair at LG Comms. So on to today's session, we've got Alan Watson, who is our keynote speaker for this topic. He's a customer success manager at Can Digital, and he places his focus of his role is campaign development. So over to you, Alan.
Thank you for the lovely introduction, Andrew. I'm just going to share my slides with you now. Hopefully they come through okay. Hi everyone, thank you for joining today. So I'm going to give you an overview of programmatic advertising, so covering the basics, what it is, etc., and also focus on varying different channels, the benefits of using programmatic, and also the benefits and particular positives of each channel, and then also go into some campaign examples, and yeah, zoom in on some campaign examples relating to employability, also adult learning as well. Hopefully you'll get some good inspiration and ideas for campaigns that you're working on. So first slide, so what is programmatic advertising? So programmatic advertising is a form of digital advertising that uses automated technology, so machine learning. So when a programmatic advertising campaign is set up, an objective will be added to the campaign, and then the machine, the platform will basically use that objective to identify and inform when an ad is seen and who sees the ad, and then where it is, where it's seen. And all the way through the live campaign, ads will be optimizing, etc., in order to help better achieve the campaign objective. So the key platforms for programmatic, and I'm sure you'll all be familiar with these. So social media is a really big one. So Facebook, Instagram, and I'm sure a lot of you running ads on Meta already. Also Snapchat as well is a good platform. LinkedIn, and then to a lesser degree, X as well. Search engines are really good for advertising. I run Google search ads on a lot of campaigns that I run. It's a really good way to engage people who are kind of actively interested in a subject area. Additionally, Bing, you can run ads on Bing as well, the Microsoft search engine. Something to watch out for is the rise of AI-based platforms as well, in terms of people using the search elements on Google that have been announced recently, and that's something that's developing at the moment. And I think Google have just started to launch advertising on the AI version of search. Web display is another big one, so ads running on websites. So for example, if you go to Sky News and The Guardian, you'll see a banner ad at the top. In-app, so again, similar to web display, but ads running through apps. Video is a really powerful asset type now, and obviously ads run on YouTube, and I'm sure you would have seen them before. That's both static ads and also video ads as well. Audio is quite a popular format, so ads running on Spotify, but also on audio books and podcasts, etc. And then retargeting. So retargeting, you'll probably be familiar with it, but if you go to an e-commerce website and then put something in your basket and close the web page down, you likely to see ads pop up afterwards in different places. That's basically retargeting, and it's a good way to nudge people into registering or submitting an inquiry, or whatever the call to action for the campaign is. And it works particularly well if there's a long decision-making process. So for example, campaigns like fostering, where a person isn't going to decide immediately, retargeting is really powerful there. Also adult learning as well, it's really, really useful, and and even applying for jobs. So devices, so the big one is smartphone. And I'm sure you will have seen these figures before if you use Google Analytics, but around 70 to 80% of impressions, so that's views, will surface through smartphone. The remaining the remainder of the 100% will be tablet, computer, and smart TV is quite a big one now, particularly for YouTube advertising. So benefits of programmatic. So the big one is reach. So ONS data, and I think this was from about a year ago maybe, indicates that 92% of over 18s in the UK are digitally active, so incredibly high. I suspect that figure is probably higher now, probably nudging 95%. Targeting is a really big positive of programmatic advertising as well. So all platforms offer a range of targeting options. So geo is one of the big ones. So from 1 km radius of a pin drop right through to the whole of the country. And you can target on the basis of postcode sectors. That's the first part of the postcode and then the first character of the suffix. So really granular. So demographics, so age and gender targeting, also interest targeting. So Meta has, I think, about 1,200 different interest targets, segments, sorry, and Google has about 2,500, I believe. And then in addition to that, there's behaviours targeting. So people that use are more likely to use online services, interested in sustainability, etc. And then additionally, there's values targeting as well. Also on Meta and also the Google ad network, there is targeting by language. So Google network will cover web display advertising, also Google search and also YouTube as well. So because of the targeting potential for programmatic advertising, it means that wastage is really limited. So when a campaign is set up, put in the targeting, and that will mean that only the people that meet the targeting criteria will see the advert. So it means you can get messages out to really granular audiences, and people that don't need to see the ads won't see the ads. Also, it means that you can run for larger campaigns, you can produce different audience profiles, which will then mean that you can use different messages to target different audiences. Another really big positive is measurement. So all of the platforms provide a wide range of data. So in terms of who's clicking on the ads, who's seeing the ads, where they're located, which ads, so which creative they're clicking on, engagement, information, interaction, etc. That's all really useful. And I think in terms of the key communication channels, I think the metrics and measurement side of programmatic is unbeatable, because there's this wealth of data coming back from the platforms, and changes can be made to campaigns while they're live. It means that optimization is a really good tactic while campaigns are live. So within each platform, the ads will optimize themselves. So if you're running a campaign on Meta, for example, budget will be shifted between Meta and Instagram according to click-through rates, etc. What I would recommend is having an overview of across all of the channels. So then it's then shifting budget between different channels in order to increase performance. Or for example, if it was a consultation you were running, to focus on different geographic areas or different groups where uptake might be lower. So I'm going to go through now and give you an overview of some of the key ad types. So this one is Google search. As I mentioned a second ago, Google search is a really powerful ad platform. I use it across most of my campaigns. Google search is a really good way to engage people who are actively interested. So from an adult learning perspective, people with an interest or searching for classes relating to curriculum themes, etc. It's also a good way to reach people that would be suitable for employability related coaching or apprenticeships, because people will quite often go on, if they're actively engaged, and search for job opportunities, but also courses, personal development, etc. And I'll mention Google search more in a bit once I go through the campaign examples. So as you can see on the right, they're text-based ads, really easy to use as a web user, really high click-through rate, so good addition to any campaign. So if we go on to the next one, so web displays again is a really interesting channel to use, and a really good way to engage with people who aren't using social media, and also get ads across a huge range of different websites. So Cannes has a network of 9,000 reputationally safe websites that ads can run across. So the key thing to remember with web display is that ads will run where the audience is. So for example, a campaign focusing on jobs wouldn't only appear on websites relating to jobs, they would appear on websites where job seekers are visiting. Basically, when we all travel around the internet, lots of data is collected about websites we visit, etc., etc. And then that's how the platforms know where to show the ads. And each person will see different ads when they visit, when they travel around the internet. So the next one is responsive. So this is part of the Google estate. This is a relatively new addition, and it's quite interesting because the way that ads are set up is, instead of adding an asset, so instead of producing an advert, you will add a photo, strap lines for different text, etc., and a logo, and then Google will actually build the ads and using real-time click-through data to optimize different images with different places, like placement options and different text. So this is a really interesting one. I've had really good results on it so far. The other thing that's really interesting about this is that ads will run on Gmail as well. So this is the only place where you can advertise on Gmail. Otherwise, the ads will surface through web display, so websites, and also YouTube statics as well. So Snapchat is a really good channel. So I use Snapchat very regularly if it's a campaign targeting younger people. So Snapchat is the only channel where you can target 13 to 17-year-olds. All of the other platforms are 18 plus. So for a campaign targeting young people, I'll always add an element of Snapchat. But Snapchat is also a really good way to reach parents as well, because quite often parents will have Snapchat accounts just kind of on safety grounds, to keep an eye on what their children do and making sure they're safe, etc. So Meta is a really good all-rounder, and I'm sure some of you will be doing ads on Instagram and Facebook already. Good all-round channel, and yeah, I generally would include Meta as part of the channel mix. Yeah, a good versatile all-rounder. Impressions. So impressions is the number of ad views, so the number of times the ad has been shown. CPM is the cost per 1,000 impressions. Clicks will be the number of times a person's clicked on an advert to go through to the landing page. Click-through rate is the proportion of impressions that lead to clicks. CPC is cost per click. That's a really, really important metric because it allows you to measure between different channels and platforms. Interactions. So interactions will include clicks, but also likes, shares, comments, and then IR is interaction rate. So if you're working with agencies or you're looking at ad platforms yourself, those are the kind of key terms to bear in mind. So we'll now move over to some examples of campaigns. So Surrey Adult Learning. So I've worked with Surrey since 2022 on their enrolment campaigns and also standalone projects as well. So Google search is a really big channel for them, and we have always on Google, so it just runs throughout the year, and we split the total curriculum into curriculum themes, and then run a Google search ad for each curriculum theme, and then also run a Google search ad for a general adult learning. So the way that Google search works is when you type in a term, when the ad is set up, a list of keywords and phrases will be added to the system, and then once a person who is within the geographic area searches for one of those terms, the ad should appear. So like I said, it's a really good way to reach people that are actively in the market and looking for opportunities, etc. Web display and Meta are also valuable tools, and I use those very regularly with Surrey. So it's a good way to announce that enrolment windows are open, etc., and also a good way to reach new audiences and for prospecting for standalone projects. Also, if there are course themes that are not performing as well as the others, then it's quite a good way to reactively target people to encourage last minute sign-ups, and then retargeting. So we have always on retargeting as well to encourage people back onto the website. Just encourage them to register if they haven't already, or register for more courses. So the latest data I have is for the 23-24 academic year, which saw an 8.8% increase in enrolments. And the cost per website was around 50 pence. So both are really, really good figures. So if I'll just move over to the next one. So ACL Essex, so Adult Learning in Essex. So we've run a number of campaigns for the team there. Again, a heavy focus on Google search and using a similar approach. So focusing on curriculum themes and also project areas as well. Good results, a click-through rate of 24% on their general enrolments Google search ad, which is incredibly high. So again, really positive results on that campaign. And then in addition to the Google search, we would run web display ads. If, for example, a new audience needed to be developed, web display is a good approach to take. So this is a campaign that's currently live for Surrey Adult Learning. So they needed help increasing the number of registrations for their e-newsletter. So the campaign's been running for just over a month now, with ads running on web display and Meta. So I developed an audience profile that included terms relating to course themes, personal development, professional development, arts and crafts, learn languages, etc. So far they've had over 3,000 website visits as a direct result of the campaign, and the cost per sign up, so per sign up to the e-newsletter, is around 80 pence, which I'm really pleased with. So now I'll just move over to Work Hounslow. So we're now moving into employability related campaigns. So Hounslow Council got in contact with us because they needed help to increase numbers for UK Shared Prosperity Fund projects, which finished in March. So basically to help with encouraging people to register for job coaching. So a kind of really holistic service focusing on helping people put CVs together, find voluntary opportunities, training courses, interview prep. So we ran ads. Again, this was a Google search campaign, and there were 3 strategies that were running. So one was focused on low income postcodes. A second was focused on over 50s, and then there was a third strategy focusing on people with disabilities and long-term medical conditions who were looking for jobs. And each of the three had a different audience list. So, for example, the medical disability strategy, it would be terms relating to people searching for disability confident employers, searching for terms relating to ticks against discrimination, disability friendly employers, etc. So the campaign performed really well with a really good click-through rate, and achieved 341 responses, which led to 90 registrations with the service. And the cost per response was £5. So really good, cost per response. So for this campaign, we put together a CAN landing page. When we work with clients where it's a conversion-based objective, we encourage them to use a CAN form and also a CAN landing page, because we work with lots of clients on developing them, and we always get really good results. So this is a screenshot of the one for Hounslow. Ideally keep them as simple as possible with just 3 or 4 questions at the very most. It was proved successful. So this is a campaign for NHS South West London, again, employability related. So Google search focused. This time there were 2 strategies that were running. So one was focused on areas of deprivation within South West London, and then there was a second one focusing on EDI, job seeker audiences. So again, we use a lot of the terms that I mentioned a second ago for the Work Hounslow campaign, but also terms related to Stonewall employers, job support for care leavers, etc., etc. And again, we produced a CAN landing page and form for this campaign. So in total, there were 688 responses, which is very, very good. And the cost per response was £2.90, which again, excellent, really, really happy. And the client's really pleased with the results. So this is another employability campaign, and this was a job coaching service for young people in Haringey. So the campaign focused on Snapchat. The audience was 16 to 24-year-olds across Haringey. And again, it was a kind of holistic service where it was a kind of broad job coaching opportunity where people be helped with CVs, training opportunities, apprenticeships, etc. And the cost per click, so 25 pence cost per click, was very, very good, and it contributed to 222 registrations. In the end, the campaign needed to be switched off because they way surpassed their target. So again, another really good result. So I've talked you through the campaign side. Now I want to talk a little bit about what happens once people click. Just kind of raise a few points. So the first one is make sure landing pages are smartphone optimized. I'm sure all of you will be doing this already, but given the volume of traffic and also the fact that between 70 and 80% of clicks will be through smartphone, it's really important that everything looks good and works effectively on a smart device. Then the next one is check UX and form design. So we encourage CAN clients to use CAN designed forms and landing pages because we've produced so many of them now. We know they consistently work. And again, with UX and particularly form design, make sure they're optimized for smartphone. Something else to think about is conversion optimization. So using Google Analytics data to inform optimization decisions and make sure that what looks brilliant from the campaign side is also brilliant on the Google Analytics side. So Google Analytics offers a sample of website traffic. So there will always be a mismatch between what the ad platform is showing and also what is showing on Google Analytics. So this is because unless a person accepts cookies and isn't on an Apple device, data won't show if a person doesn't click on accept cookies. And yeah, that's a really important distinction. And a lot of Apple devices have tracking turned off by default, so there'll always be a mismatch. So yeah, if you're looking at Google Analytics data, just treat it as a sample. That is it. If anyone has any questions, do
Brilliant. Thanks, Alan. I
shout.
think we've already had a couple of questions come in, so I'll just give you a moment to sort of regroup. But I think what first of all Monica was after in terms of what is a good kind of rough costs for doing a Google search campaign? Is there a minimum kind of budget? I appreciate the public sector budgets are quite stretched at the moment, and also what kind of from my perspective, what kind of hints would you give to those comms professionals who are trying to convince their sort of bosses around the size of the prize or the sort of the rate of investment needed to bring in for some of these employability schemes?
I mean, I think so. In terms of Google search, I would recommend a minimum spend probably of around £500 a month. Google is always really effective, and I think I use it, like I said, I've used it on most of my campaigns. It's a really good way to reach people that are actively engaged in the subject area, but also there are ways that you can, be creative with keywords, etc. So you can actually reach the audience you're targeting, but without exact words as to what the project is. So yeah, I'd say £500 a month as a minimum. Obviously, a lot will vary on the basis of the size of the geo that you're targeting, and also kind of the size of the audience as well. In terms of persuading seniors, senior managers, etc., I think the key thing to focus on will be measurability, because with all of these platforms, you'll get a whole wealth of data coming back that will evidence how well the campaign is working. And I know across a lot of the public sector, there's an instinct among the senior management to kind of go for visibility more than metrics. So the kind of out of home and backs of buses, etc. And I think the key thing is to focus on measurability, because you'll get a whole raft of stats that come back if you run any kind of programmatic advertising campaign to evidence the success of it.
Brilliant. Thanks for that, Alan. And I guess just building on that question from Monica in terms of minimum spends, if you did have a limited budget, which of those channels that you mentioned earlier, which one would you recommend people using?
I would suggest Google search. Yeah, I think definitely, certainly for this area. So employability, apprenticeships, training, adult learning. Yeah, absolutely.
And is that because of the results or the measurements that you've talked about?
I think it's a really good, solid, consistent channel, and it works well over longer time frames. And I think it's at a different point in the funnel to other programmatic channels. So I think the fact that you'd be actively engaging people that are in the market is really good in terms of conversions as well.
Great. So those people who are already interested in a topic, searching for that area, are more actively looking for employability. I'm
Yes.
going to move us on to a question from Bowler in terms of the benchmarks for those kind of CPMs or PT to work towards? Or is it just simply, the lower the figure, the better?
I mean, I think so. Click-through rates, I don't particularly use as a key metric because the cost of advertising on each channel is different. So the key figures I look out for will be cost per click on a channel basis. For me, that's the key metric because then you're truly comparing like for like. I think in terms of cost per click, anything below £1 would be considered good. But what I would recommend is going in slightly deeper and looking at Google Analytics data as well, just to kind of assess the quality of the click, as it were, because obviously everything relating to this theme will be conversion based. So I'd be look at the sign-ups, look and see what's happening on Google Analytics. Yeah, that's the key thing.
So what I often struggle with is there are so many things that often impact a health campaign, for example, that it's always a lot more difficult to attribute what I'm doing, a particular campaign I'm running, to the sort of bigger picture, if that makes sense. So I've recently undertaken a cervical screening campaign, and that happened from November last year to about February of this year. Finished the sort of post-campaign analysis for it. Sadly, I haven't been able to kind of tease out some data from colleagues to kind of suggest as to whether over that period there's been an increase in uptake in the particular demographics that we were targeting, or even any demographic for that matter. But a lot of things seem to impact at the same time. Other people were running similar campaigns, and I'm often finding it a bit tricky to attribute success to my campaign. So I don't know how you kind of ease that out, if to own it, as it were.
I mean, that's a really, really good question. A lot of the time, the CAN campaign will be the only paid channel that's being used by the client. So, for example, both the Southwest London example and also the example of Work Hounslow, CAN campaign was the only data source going through to the landing page. So yeah, attribution is a really valid question. It's something that's discussed quite a lot within the industry, and I don't think there is a magic answer for it. I think the key thing is getting Google Analytics data, so creating UTMs, so at least then you can evidence the traffic going through to the website, and hopefully get some data to indicate that people are going further into the website in terms of booking appointments, that kind of thing. So it's kind of measuring the metrics going into the website, but then measuring how people leave the website, whether they click to book an appointment, etc. That's the best approach, but it is something that's hotly discussed, to be honest. And I do know that within the NHS there can often be lags in data coming back as well, which isn't particularly helpful in terms of measuring campaign success.
That's right. Yeah. Thank you. That's useful to know.
Alan, is there doesn't appear to be any other questions.
Excellent. Thank you all for joining. I think Andrew's just in the process of typing another message. But just to reiterate what Andrew said earlier, this is being videoed, so we'll share the video once it is ready to go, and also I'll be sharing my slides as well. Thank you all for joining, and we'll be in contact regarding future CAN webinars.